Now, you've probably not looked at China for your next kitesurfing destination, but you totally should, because it's one of the best kitesurfing trips you could ever do. And in this video, I'll explain why. The wind conditions here are great. They're strong, consistent, and you get a little bit of everything. Now, when researching this topic, the forecast was so incredibly good that I really couldn't believe it. So I asked some locals, and they also told me that the wind conditions are actually excellent, especially in October if you're looking for strong wind, and a little bit early in the season if you're looking to go without a wetsuit. Now, I've visited several places in the world, and always when I ask a local shop, they say the wind is always great, don't worry about it. But in China, this is actually the case. The wind is super stable, especially near the end of the season, from September till November, and you can expect great conditions. Even some record-breaking conditions if a massive typhoon hits, which might not be your cup of tea, but if you're looking to break your world record, this is definitely a place where you can do that. For the week that I was there, I could kite every single day. Now, if you like strong wind, visiting from October to November is a very good idea. But it's not just the wind that blew me away, because Pingtan Island has several things to offer. The food is excellent and it's very accessible by high-speed train. Now, you might be reluctant to visit China because it's relatively unknown, or at least it was to me, but after doing a little bit of research, it wasn't much trouble at all. It's just like visiting any other Asian country, and in my opinion, it's definitely worth checking Pingtan out, and you can enjoy the lovely food that they have over there. China has a really wide variety when it comes to their food. Now, if you don't like local Chinese food, then you can also just visit McDonald's, because they have a McDonald's right at the spot. And I have a feeling that a lot of kite surfers would enjoy a McDonald's after a long session. And I have to be honest, I also enjoyed that as well. Pingtan doesn't just offer a McDonald's, they have all kinds of Western food. Now, I've only visited Pingtan for a week, so I don't know every detail, but what I can tell you is there are 3 main spots where you can kite. One is a little bit more up north, I don't know exactly where, but over there you can try to break your world record. I've heard that the local record here is almost 30 meters, so it's definitely a spot where you can go super big. I have not visited that spot. I just stayed at the local Duotone Pro Center where I rented all my gear because I didn't bring it myself. Now, you have 2 spots at the Duotone Pro Center. You have a spot where there are waves and you have a spot without waves. And the spot without waves, you supposedly can stand there, and yeah, it's really easy to learn over there. I have not visited that place because that is most enjoyable when the wind is coming from the south, and that is supposed to be during the summertime. But when September, October hits, the wind comes more from the north, and then the wind is also a lot denser and a lot stronger. Now, the wind is not as cold as it, for instance, is in Denmark or in the Netherlands, but you can expect some really stable, strong wind, and it really gets up to 30 plus knots. For the week I was there, I had 2 days where it was 30 plus knots, and I had 1 day where it was even 35, and it was a proper 35. So you could do big boost, big mega loops. Everything was possible there, and you also have really good kickers, especially if you compare it to, for instance, the Netherlands, then the kickers are excellent. If you compare it to Cape Town, for instance, Cape Town is unbeatable for its kickers, but Pingtan has really clean, good kickers, and if you're an experienced kite surfer, then you will definitely enjoy the wave spot. So another thing, that if you haven't visited Asia before, I can tell that the people are very welcoming and friendly, and that was no different for China. And yeah, right away I was able to make lots of friends, expats. Now here's a picture with some local legends. You see one of the biggest heroes here. He jumped almost 30 meters and has a really big following online on the Chinese social platforms, but also on Instagram. And also you see Gavin. Gavin is the Duotone Pro Shop owner. He speaks fluently English, so that is. And if I'm honest, that's not always the case. I've visited several places in the world, and most of the time kitesurfers are very relaxed and welcoming. But sometimes they also really want to sell you stuff. And that's another thing I want to mention. The Chinese seemed to be very honest to me. There were no hidden fees, no surprises afterwards. Everything was very transparent, and the shop that I visited, the Duotone Pro Center shop in Pingtan, yeah, it just was one of the best services I've ever received. The showers were good. There was also air compression, so you don't have to inflate your kite yourself. Everything was, yeah, just what you would expect from a modern pro center. Now let's talk hotels. Now, before visiting China, I didn't know what to expect from the hotels, but I can tell you the hotels are excellent, even better than some Western hotels. And obviously it's also very affordable. So food is very affordable. Overall, everything is very affordable, which is a big plus. Now, before you pack your bags, I recommend that you install several apps. And the first one is WeChat. WeChat will enable you to pay and also book a cab. Then there is Alipay, which will also enable you to pay and arrange taxis. I like to have both just to be safe. And then there is trip.com. Trip.com will enable you to take the high-speed train, and it will also help you book hotels. Then there is translation. Now, I used several translation apps. I used ChatGPT, I used Grok, and I also had Google Translate. And surprisingly, Google Translate was the best. I also featured in the introduction of a local competition, and I really didn't know why I was so special over there, but apparently I was the second foreign visitor they ever had. Now, Pingtan is really aiming to become one of the top kitesurfing destinations. So now that the secret is out, you can also enjoy this incredible spot. Now, I hope to see you one day in Pingtan, enjoying the awesome conditions. Goodbye.